Hi, I'm Dr. Mamie Phipps Clark, and I'll be talking to you about myself and my work in psychology. I was born in Arkansas in 1917 and raised in New York. My father was a doctor, which gave my family a good living. He helped me achieve my academic goals, especially during a time when African Americans were struggling for rights. However, I still attended segregated schools until I reached college. I went to Howard University, initially wanting to become a math teacher. Luckily for me, I met a man who would soon become my husband, Dr. Kenneth Clark, who persuaded me to pursue psychology. I loved the employment possibilities that psychology offered, and I knew with psychology I might have the chance to work with children. Kenneth started his doctorate degree at Columbia University while I was finishing my undergraduate at Howard. The long-distance relationship was tough on us, and I didn't want my parents finding out I was dating, so we decided to elope. Shortly after, I joined him at Columbia. For my master's, I did research on Black nursery school students. Rather than teaching children, I began to study them. My thesis, titled The Development of Consciousness of Self in Negro Preschool Children, focused on two existing psychological tests, a doll test and a coloring test. My husband was interested in the work I was doing with self-perception in Black children and decided to join me. As we began researching together, our results showed that Black children were becoming aware of their Black identity at just 3 years old and reflected upon themselves negatively. Using these dolls, identical in all aspects except race, we asked Black children participants ages 3 to 7 several questions to understand their racial preference. We concluded that prejudice, discrimination, and segregation damaged Black children's self-esteem. Our study was important because we studied racial prejudice and child development. We looked at how children's consciousness interprets race and if their attitudes reflect those of adults. At this time, there were many desegregation trials occurring in the South. My husband and I went to different trials presenting this doll test as expert witnesses. We created a brief of our results, and the lawyers for the NAACP presented it to the United States Supreme Court. The 1954 case, Brown versus Board of Education, concluded from our findings that segregation, quote, generates a feeling of inferiority as to their status in their community that may affect their hearts and minds in a way unlikely to ever be undone. Using psychological experimentation to dismantle segregation and the Jim Crow law is something my husband and I are proud and grateful for. We also opened up the Northside Center for Child Development in Harlem to be able to provide psychological services to Black and minority children. We gave them free IQ exams to prove to their public schools that they did not have mental retardation when they were being falsely labeled as such. I am proud of my contribution to psychology, the social sciences, and the civil rights movement. Thank you for watching.